Well, hello there, stamping friends. This is Traci Raether from Plum Crazy Stamping, and today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. And I thought I would answer some of the questions that I hear from some of you when we're either in class or I'm seeing you live, or you're emailing me when you join my weekly email list. And that's the questions that you ask about the tools and what tools you need to get started, what tools you need to make your stamping and paper crafting easier. And I thought we're going to take this in two parts. So today, in the card making lesson, I'm actually going to show you some very I guess for beginners, if you haven't set up all of your tools yet, I want to give you some information about some basic tools that you can get through Stampin' Up. And then in my weekly email, which will go out later today, I'm going to talk about some of the tools that are very helpful that are not from Stampin' Up and that I got in different places. So I'm going to encourage you when you watch this video, whether you are live today or you watch it on the replay, you're going to get some information on tools. We're also going to make a graduation card today, and I'm going to utilize a stamp positioning device. Another one of our tools, and Stampin' Up! Has just come out with a new stamp positioning device. And so we're going to look and talk about the utilization of that tool. And then, like I said, I will have more tools in my weekly email later this afternoon. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put the camera down, and we're first going to do just some basic tools, talk about some benefits to those tools and why they're important. I'm also going to point out some of my favorites to help you if you're trying to decide what it is that you want to use for your paper crafting. So now you can see the desktop here, and let's really start with something very basic. And there are a lot of selections for trimmers when you are looking for a paper trimmer, cardstock trimmer. And I'm going to just share the Stampin' Up! Trimmer with you, knowing that I have had Creative Memories trimmers, Fiskars trimmers. But you know what? In the end, I prefer the Stampin' Up! One because it has additional features. In particular, the fact that it has a cutting and a scoring blade. And that is me being able to do everything that I need to do to prepare my card bases and not have to get out two things. But I will show you the scoring tool and when I like to use that. But this is the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. It is in our new catalog. You can get it. I guess I didn't look up the price. But you'll be able to see it in my online store or in a catalog if you have one. Hi, Sue. It is a beautiful day here in Wisconsin, too, and I'm so glad you're having great weather as well. Anyway, let me just show you, obviously, I used this to just trim a full 8.5 by 11.5 to get my card bases that I use for the medium-sized cards or the A2 envelopes. And it's so nice to have this blade. If when you are using your trimmer, all of a sudden you start seeing that the edge of your cardstock is not nice and smooth like this, likely you need to get a new blade, and you can get replacement blades as well as replacement scoring blades. The only reason I had to get a scoring replacement was I actually knocked it off my trimmer when I came back from stamp camp. It was lost for a couple of days, and then I found it after I ordered additional scoring blades. But anyway, I've not had to replace that before, except if you lose it. But my trimmer blade, I do have to replace because I do lots of, obviously, cutting with my trimmer. Okay. So let me show you the scoring tool, which if you don't have this second blade on here, the other thing is, before I'm done here, is this has an arm which you can measure longer pieces, especially when you're using 12 by 12 paper. That's very helpful. I don't have to have, an additional cutter or a big guillotine cutter. I can just use the one that I use every day. And this arm snaps in place so it doesn't flap all over the place, which is also very nice. Okay, so let me just set that off to the side. So this is what is our scoring tool. And this is something you can also, scoring tool, scoreboard, whatever, many names. And this has a number of ridges that all match the measurements up here. And when I like to use this versus my trimming tool is when I am scoring a number of items, same measurements. So especially Christmas cards, when I sit down to make a bunch of birthday cards, I find myself for brides and new moms, I make them sets of thank you cards. When I'm doing that, I like to use this scoring tool because it's so easy. And you find just the right place and you score it and you're done. And the thing is, I slide this down, then I can take another one and I can score it and I'm good to go. It goes very fast. So for that reason, I like this. Oh my goodness. Jill, it sounds beautiful in Scotland too. Wonderful. Hi, Kim. All right. And it comes with this tool. I know it has a name, stylus, and it snaps right in. And if you wanted to remember, I don't know if I do have one in here. If I can get this open. Up here, there is a place to store. I haven't opened this lately, but I got a little envelope in here. And it holds a number of little pieces that fit in here and point to your score line. So if you're making fun folds, you can actually mark the spots so that you don't forget and you don't have to sit and look closely at the measurements. And that will point out where you should use the stylus to do your scoring. So that's another benefit of this tool when you're making multiples. So I do like having it, but for my everyday stamping, I like the scoring blade on my trimmer. Okay, and as I'm talking about these, if you have any questions about these tools, or you have a question about a tool that I'm not talking about today, please put them in the comments. I'll keep my eyes tuned in, and I will try to answer your questions. All right, so you have a scoring tool also, but smaller. All right. Well, going from the scoring tool, then I want to go to the bone folder. And I got to tell you, way back when, and it's a long time, I'm like, what is the big deal about this bone folder? And it seemed so simple. So before I had one, once I'd cut my cardstock in half, I would line up my cardstock and I would fold it. Now, even when I push really hard with my finger, I would say this is not a crisp fold. It's a soft fold. Does it work? Yes. But then when I take the same card that I have already folded just using my fingers and I rub the bone folder along it, can you see how much more sharp of a crease this is? The card also stays closed. And on the inside, you also have a nice sharp line. So if you like to put lighter cardstock inside your card, it will also line up in a very crisp manner and just, I think, take it up a notch, if you will. Okay. The other thing that helps, so this card, when I was doing it, wasn't scored, but scoring your card, and then remember, it's the opposite of your intuition. It looks like when you make this score line that you should fold it towards the score. It's actually just the opposite. You always want to fold it towards the bump, because where the fibers are broken, it helps to keep it in line. But remember, even though it's scored and I'm pushing with my finger, not a real crisp fold. Take the bone folder, and now the card doesn't pop up. We've got a nice crisp fold, and you have that very straight line inside. So this is a tool that pairs very well. If you're going to do a lot of card making or even a moderate amount, this is an important tool. This also can be used when you're trying to spread glue out on something that you have, you want to glue down. So let's say we want to put this card insert inside. Now I'm going to show you another one of my favorites. My favorite adhesive is the Tombow Mono Liquid Glue, the adhesive, because it is the least expensive. I can use it the most. It lasts a long time. You don't need a whole bunch. And I have to tell you, I'm making a fine line here, and then I'll put a little extra scribble on here, okay? I want you to notice how fine that is. All right, there's a little blump there, but anyway, you don't need a lot of glue. Less is more, okay? And so you can pat this, but also a nice way to press down your glue. Bone folder works great, especially if you do get a bump of glue or you put too much on. This is a nice way to smooth out your glue. So another use for the bone folder. And remember, if I can always tell when someone has used too much, because when it comes out the edge, it's shiny, right? And you can try to wipe it off. Sometimes a Kleenex will work. Also, I've been told, I haven't used it yet, but that a microfiber cloth is a good way to wipe up extra glue that comes off. It does it without leaving, if the glue is too sticky, you'll get tissue on here, and then you got to roll that off with your finger when it dries. The microfiber cloth does not have that happen. So something to think about. Or maybe get a microfiber cloth, cut it up, give it to a couple of your stamping buddies, and then you'll all have something to deal with if there gets to be too much glue. All right, so that's a little bit on that. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you about the glue? Like I said, least expensive. You can get this, the Stampin' Up! Price, I think, is a good price. I know it just went up maybe 50 cents, but still cheaper than I see it in the craft stores. Sometimes, though, they'll have a sale or they'll have multiples of these in a box. And then you might get a good deal. So watch for that. And then there are two ends here. Now, this smooth end, if I am gluing larger things, this edge is a nice way to apply glue and just put it in a little line. And it widens it out. I usually, though, don't use that edge unless I leave my glue open on my desk and I clog up the other end. So I've had to do that a couple times, but for the most part, I use this fine line. I also find with a very light touch, I don't need to buy the additional fine line glue, which you can get if you like it. Great. I know some people have that precision glue gun that does very light lines. You can use this as your refill glue for that as well. So the other thing that is a benefit is when you're trying to slide something in place and you want a straight, you want it lined up straight, you have a couple of seconds before this glue gets tacky to slide your images or your layered cardstock in place. So you're more likely to be able to get it to be straight and exactly where you want it. So that is another benefit of using this glue. Okay, so with that, let's go to something else that is very routine for those of us that have them. But if you're new and you don't know how to zhuzh up your cards a little bit with texture by adding height to your card, let's look at some examples. I have them here. So I just want to show you this card front. I just used the mono-adhesive glue to put these strips of designer series paper down. And then I stamped right on the front of the card itself. I did coloring with my Stampin' Blends, and I decided to get height and texture with rhinestones on this one, okay? And I'm going to be showing you the tool that I use for those in just a minute. But I just want to show you how this is really a flat card except for the rhinestones that I put in the center of my flowers. So the designer series paper is glued flat to this, and then the stamping, and I didn't pop anything up, if you will, okay? So then I'll go to a collage card where this has multiple layers. I've used the liquid glue, or people sometimes will call it green glue. And I've put multiple layers of designer series paper. Some of them, have went through a dye to get a little bit more detail, like the branches and this thing that looks like the top of a notebook. And then I also did some paper tearing on cardstock, but I still did that flat and then put other things on top of it and continued to glue things on top of one another. But the final thing that I put on here, the sentiment, I wanted it to pop up, to put it a little bit over the other thing. So can you see there that there is the width of the dimensional on there? And for most things, having one thing of dimensionals, if I put these all with layered dimensionals, this would probably get too high to have a regular stamp to go through the mail. And it would also be, a tight fit in the envelope. And here I did add a couple of rhinestones, which, their top is probably similar to when I use the dimensionals, okay? So let's look at just another how using dimensionals. So this is a card where I just took one of our landscape 6x6 pieces of paper, cut it so that I could have some strips. And then how easy was it to just punch out the sentiment and put the dimensionals behind it to have it stand out a little bit on the top of this card. That up on the dimensionals just adds something in addition, okay? And then sometimes when we're doing embellishments, which I'm going to show the next tool, giving you a hint here. Anyway, you can see that this large sentiment, which is on something that I punched out with a circle punch, I could use large dimensionals. So they come in two sizes, right? And they come in two colors. So most of the time I use the white and the ones that are just called Stampin' Dimensionals. And then they have them with a black foam so that this is somewhat dark cardstock. If you look at this on the side, you can see that there's white behind here. If I wanted that to blend in more, I could have used the black, and then you wouldn't be able to see them on the back. But in order to do my little astronaut here, on his body, I could use a big dimensional. I could cut a big dimensional, in half. On these little rockets or spaceships, it's nice to have the choice of mini dimensionals, and they come in white and black as well. But once again, if you are putting this on like Secret Sea, Night of Navy, black cardstock, it's nice to have the dark colored dimensionals so that you won't see them if someone's like, examining your handiwork, right? So those are available. I like to get my glue, get my dimensionals, and those kind of, what do you call them? The kind of consumable products when there's free shipping. So when there's free shipping, that's when I'll stock up because I know that I'm going to use them. And yeah, so this is just an example of a card I didn't do too long ago with all of you, but a lot of fun. But the dimensionals and then adding the embellishments make a difference. So let's set this to the side and let's look at this tool that I don't know what I would do. You guys probably see me use it every time we're together. This is my take your pick tool. And I have to tell you, there are more ends that you can use in here. We have, I call this the pokey tool. And then it has the spatula. Now, some people will use spatulas for sequins and some of their gems. I like the pokey tool, so I usually don't even use the spatula side. And then on this side, this part screws in and it's got sticky like clay on it, or I don't know what else you would call it, but it's sticky to pick up gems and sequins. So sometimes that works a lot better. So for example, let's just look at this card. So wanting to pop up little embellishments to add a little bit here. Now these are pretty small. Let's see what they're calling these, pearls, very small pearls. So this pokey tool, very professional, works really well. If I hold my finger there, I can get the pokey tool under it, and that tip is fine enough to hold this and allows me to put this in place and press it down. It is very hard to pull these off. Not if you have fingernails, you get them stuck under your fingernail. And if you don't have fingernails, it's very hard to hang on to these and place them on your card. So this works really great. When you are also using dimensionals, sometimes it's hard to get this adhesive covering off. This just pops it right off. You can go right down a whole number of these and take the top off using this as well. And then in our paper pumpkin kits, we have these little mini glue dots. And once again, trying to take these off with your finger is very hard. And so this just pops that right off. I put it wherever I want to place it, and then I can pull off the top of this adhesive with this too. It's not going to do it sticking in my hand, but when it's on your card, you just pull the adhesive covering off the top, and that works really well with this too. So this is one of those things, I don't know, I think it's a little less than $10 or around $10, and I use it every day. So if you don't have a take your pick tool, that's something else that will make your stamping life so much easier. So with all that being said, do you have any questions about any of those tools that I just shared? And those are available in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. And I'm going to share some more that are not in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, today's weekly email. If you don't have, if you're not subscribed to my weekly email, go ahead and go to www.plumcrazystamping.com and you can sign up for my weekly email, get a free 3-card tutorial, and you will get today's weekly email that's going to have more tool talk in it. But what we're going to do now is make a graduation card and use another tool, our stamp positioning device. I'm going to use the one that most recently we had, but now there's a new one. And we're going to talk about that by looking at the catalog itself in just a minute. But let's go ahead and take a peek at this graduation card we're going to make. And I'm going to tell you why I want to use a stamp positioning device. So here's the card. And this is really a simple card. And I have to tell you, I was pulling my hair out trying to find this congrats to the graduate stamp that I have. I have to tell you, after looking through the numerous stamp sets I have, I could only find graduation, the word graduation, in my old paper pumpkin stamp sets. Now, maybe you have a sentiment set or a stamp set that does have a graduation stamp. Well, you might want to dig it out because 'tis the season, right? And where I found this one, because you might have this back, oh boy, I don't even know what year this is, but it was called Slim Sayings, and this is about making, more cards that fit in a business envelope, and that's why these are longer, or they go the long way on a card. But anyway, that's where I found this great congrats to the graduate. So this is a find. If this is in your stash, you are lucky this time of year. So I've got that stamp out. And what I really like is I like these, this is called Rays of Light. So this is also an older stamp set. And there have been other backgrounds or stamps that you can get that kind of do this. Or you can make your own paper pieces and make a background that looks like this. But anyway, I love this for graduation cards. And I'm going to zhuzh it up with something that I couldn't pass up at the crafting store. So I'll show that to you in a minute as well. But anyway, why I like using a stamp positioning device for using a large background stamp is because the first time you stamp it, you may or may not get good ink coverage. When you have a stamp positioning device, you can ink it up and do it again so that your card image looks very impressive, okay? So let's go ahead and make another card front here for a graduation card. And this was the Stamparatus, which we had for a while, and I've not purchased the new one yet. So I'm going to use this, show you how a stamp positioning device is something that you would like to consider and why it can help you. Whoops, that went right on that magnetic thing. And then I'll show you in the catalog where the new one is and what improvements have been made to this. So I'm just going to take an extra stamp pad here to kind of set this up. Okay. And then I'm going to get my stamp out here. Now I have to tell you, I didn't even put the sticker on this one. I've used it though a lot of times. And let's place our card front here. And I find if I can and if I have a choice, I don't try to put this right up, what would you say, in the corner, because sometimes it's hard to stamp right in the corner. So I will actually line this up, according to the lines on here, and then I place this on top. But if I don't want this moving, let me, because see how the sides of this are? I want this ink to go right to the edges. So I need to do something to hold this in place, but it's going to be removable. And let's see, I'm actually going to use, where did I put those little dots? You know, they're hard to see. Are they over here with these? Let's see here. There they are. So you could put a little adhesive down, or you can do these little, I'm going to actually put it on this other side here. And we'll put one on here and one on the other side. So it's just going to kind of hold this in place. But what I'm going to do to help me be able to move it when I want to move it is I'm going to utilize a little lint from my clothing to make it not quite as sticky, because I don't want it here. The other thing is you can use non-permanent tape, but you don't want a ridge on this card front that we're doing. So that's why I like these little dots. They're pretty, you know, you can tell now that there is a little lint on there. Okay. And I'll line this up. Okay. And then I want to line up my front here. Now kind of think about where you want this to be. It looks like I had two different stamps. Doesn't this look, this has a round circle. This one actually has, it's all the way to the middle. I might have two like this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a graduation hat. There's the secret, but you haven't seen it yet. And I'm thinking that I want that to be, I want the part down here. This is not going, all right. Try to line this up. Well, let's see how this looks. Try to put that up to one side. And I am trying to line this up using the lines too, because I don't want this to be kitty wampus, as they would say. So then I press the stamp onto the plate. And now I'm going to ink up the stamp. And I'm going to use Darling Duckling, just because it's a gold yellow. I kind of like that. Cards I'm making for kids that are graduating from high school have this cherry cobbler as one of the colors, and Night of Navy is kind of the other color. So I think this color looks pretty with it. All right, this is a nice juicy stamp. So this does have magnets to hold this in place, but I want this to go to the edges, so I can't use the magnets. That's why I put the glue dots down. Now, something else that you can get, where did my little, well, I'm just going to press on this. Oh, here it is. This kind of reminds me of air hockey. You can get these online to, just put even pressure. Just a little easier to slide it across the plate, no matter what stamp positioning device. So, there's ones out there called the Misty. This was the Stamparatus. I know other people have them as well. And we have a new one called the Stamp Positioning Tool, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then I'm going to hold this down and carefully pick that up. And you can see, now this design of this stamp has these little holes, but this part right here, you can tell that the ink didn't quite disappear as it did on the other parts of the stamp. So one thing you can do without even re-inking is just put it back down again and just try to press that area again so that you're getting the same level of ink. And now you can tell this is dry all the way across, so it's taken all the ink evenly. And if that wasn't the case, you could re-ink it and put it down again. And then, in light of the fact that I had that lint on there, you can see that popped right off, okay? Now this isn't quite as gold as this other one. This might have been like Bumblebee, maybe, but let's just, I'm going to do this one this way. I'm going to just set my stamp positioning device to the side here. And don't put the magnets together because if they crash together, they can break. So I'll just keep them on different sides of my desk here. Close this up. Okay, let me grab one of the cards that I was making here. So before I put this on here, though, I'm going to do the stamping. So I'm just going to use a little, should I use Cherry Cobbler or Secret Sea? Maybe I'll match it with the Cherry Cobbler. Okay. And then the thing is, do I want congrats to the grad down here? Maybe I will still try to keep it in this corner. And just kind of make sure I've got good coverage and nothing around the edges for that halo, right? Okay. And then I'm going to just get this in the corner. All right, we've got congrats to our grad. And then I'm going to just use, you can either take these off or leave them on. I'm just going to pull them off because I can. I could decide to use all of these to stick this on, but I'm going to use my glue so that I have the slide factor to make it straight. Okay. Okay. And then I know that there are a lot of our stamp sets that say the word "you did it." That's what I'm going to put inside here and then write my note. But then these are what I found. I actually got these on sale. Stickers of these grad hats. If you're lucky enough, I may have a graduation hat somewhere, but where it is right now, I don't know. So the fact that I have these stickers really helps. And they're on adhesive. And I want it straighten up. I want to put this at a little angle. And so that's a great way to just finish this, having the graduation hat. So easy graduation card, do it in the colors of the, the school, and you've got it. And if you wanted to put a little bling on here, you certainly could. So let's just take a peek at how you can get a current stamp positioning device. So this is in the new catalog that we're doing. Remember, we're going to have 3 catalogs now in a year, good for 4 months. This is May through August, and it just came out, and we can start ordering in here May 5th. But on page 43 is the new stamp positioning device. And the unique thing about this stamp positioning device that we did not have before is these little corners that go on when you line this up. It actually comes all the way apart, and when you line it up, when your stamp is upside down on here like this one was, let me just show this to you again. When I put this on the Stamparatus and I put this plate down, it's already touching. What's unique about this one is you put your stamp on it, and when you set this in place, it's not stamping yet. So you can line it up and then you push it. And when you push it, then it stamps the image, because these four corners have these little cushions that push down. It's really cool. And then these magnets are a little bit easier to get your hands around because they have a place for your fingers. These did not. Obviously, that's why I've had to put washi tape on mine. Now it works. I have to pull this off, but they actually have places for your fingers to get them in place to hold your paper in place. And then they have this smaller alignment plate, and that's if you want to make the same image. They have pegs that you can line it up and do this incremental stamping. That was one of the things about the Stamparatus that was really nice, is you can actually pick this plate up, and you can incrementally move it. Oops, you got to move it up. You move it and you can stamp like the same word or the same image in different intervals. That was not available at the time when I bought my Misty. I don't know if that's the same or not anymore. But this does that the same way with this smaller alignment tool, so that you can put the same words down the side of a card, etc. Let's see. It has all the grids. It has grid paper that you can use. And like I said, stamping patterns, card layers, and doing large background stamps is great. And I think I've covered what that is. And the cost is $49. And it's really something that you could use all the time. The other thing that I didn't point out yet is if you're making multiples, whether it's a background for, let's say, Christmas card, always when I think about multiples, I think about that. You could put this background down and you could just, stamp one, put in a new piece of paper, stamp one, whatever. The other thing that you can do is you can put all the stamps on this, your sentiment in a certain place, your candy canes in another, and ink up 2 different colors, 3 different colors, stamp once, and your whole card front can be stamped if you're using a stamp positioning tool. So just some things to think about, and think about whether or not this is something you would like. I also have gift certificates if you have a birthday coming up, or you would like, somebody asks you, what do you want? You could get a gift certificate from Plum Crazy Stamping and then have this be one of the things that you want, and you'll know in your mind about how much it costs. So any questions about a stamp positioning device or other tools? Today, I'm still looking. Yes, if you need more pressure, absolutely. That works with stamp positioning devices. So 2 things here. Just reminding you that for the month of May, so a couple of days left, you can still get the Berry Botanical Vellum for $5 with a $75 purchase, and you order this through Stampin' Up. So this is probably a $12.50 to $14 value you get for $5. There's 12 pieces of beautiful hand-painted vellum. That's how they did the design, was hand-painted. And then I have a 4-card free tutorial using the Cutest Crew cards or stamps, and you could use these designs with other stamp sets too, but at least you don't have to come up with the card design. And I would email this to you at the end of the month with a $50 purchase through Plum Crazy Stamping. let's see what else is going on. Any other questions? There's a great deal right now to get all of the new in color stamp pads for free if you want to sign up to be a demonstrator. And this is a very good deal. And it would be all 5 of these. And these are the new stamp pads. If you haven't seen them, they're magnetic. How easy is that to open? They're still the same size as our other stamp pads. They'll fit in things that we have had out for storage before. They actually magnetize and hold together as well, which is really unique. So loving these. And if you're interested in that, don't hesitate to reach out to me at Traci, Traci, at plumcrazystamping.com. And let's see, as the end of the month comes up, if you need a catalog because you don't have a demonstrator, just email me at Traci, Traci, at plumcrazystamping.com, and I'd be happy to drop a catalog in the mail to you. And right now, if you order by using the online store or your catalog if you have it, and if you buy it through Plum Crazy Stamping, I will also send you $5 cash back in the mail as a thank you for ordering with me. So with all of that said, I just want to say thanks for joining me today. I hope you learned a little bit of something with all these card making tools. More to come in the email this afternoon, so don't forget to take a peek. And if you have any questions, just send me a comment. I'd be happy to answer for you. If you watch this on the replay, you can still put questions in and I will get back to you. So friends, all I can say is happy stamping. Enjoy this better weather and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.